Well, today, my guest is Ken Moore, Chief Innovation Officer at Mastercard. Ken, it's great to have you with us here at Econ Middle East.
Al, thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure to be with you today.
Pleasure is all ours. And I'll go straight into my first question now. When you look towards the end of the decade, what trends in commerce stand out most for you?
I mean, one of the things I think we need to recognize, Alp, is that the pace of change itself is increasing. We look at today and we think how much faster it was, how much change is happening today relative to 5 or 6 or 10 years ago. But actually, as we look into the future, the pace of change increases exponentially.
Mm.
It should be 4 times faster. So we should see 4 times as much change in a year by 2040 relative today. Or to say that in another way, about 1.5 times as much change by the end of the decade. So when I take your question and I look at what change can we expect by the end of the decade, it's a little bit hard to predict. But let me give you a few thoughts. On the one hand, and maybe a little bit closer in, I think we're going to continue to see this wave of momentum building around artificial intelligence, some of the enabling infrastructure around that, like embedded finance and some of the security technologies that we've rolled out. As we go closer to 2030, possibly into the early 2030s, I think we'll start to see some convergence of some technologies. Technologies like mixed reality, technologies like quantum computing coming together with AI with a bit of a multiplier effect. So I think that hopefully gives you a little bit of the kind of pace of change, some things that are going to happen and we fair degree of certainty kind of closer in, and some stuff where maybe we start to see some convergence among some of these technologies, which is really going to drive some exponential change, but that'll take a little bit more time.
Wonderful. And next question, a two-parter. What does the role of Chief Innovation Officer look like in enterprise today? And how are your responsibilities and remit evolved with the acceleration of technology adoption?
Another way of saying that is I have a really fun job, a really
And,
fun job.
and a very tricky one, if I may say so.
It's tricky, but there's a lot
Mm.
of fun involved. And I think really it comes down to two things, Alp. The first is we kind of need kind of signposts on where we think the world might be going. It's always easier to innovate with tailwinds than into headwinds. So the first part of my role really is to be a futurist. It's to try to predict, to read the tea leaves, particularly the technology tea leaves a little bit, to kind of figure out what is technology making possible tomorrow that isn't possible today, and how might that arrive. So to be a futurist, to figure out where the world of commerce is going. And then the second part of my role really is to be a builder. It's to build the products and services that are going to make our customers successful. It's to be a builder to make sure that this world arrives in the right way. But it's also to be a builder inside in the company to make sure that we have the skills, curiosity as a superpower, that the talent, the capabilities, the infrastructure to really be able to lean into this world, but also the partner ecosystem, because we are at our heart a partner driven company. So I think that's really how the role has evolved. It's no longer just R&D. You've got to be a little bit of a futurist. You've got to have R&D, but you got to be a builder, both inside and outside. And that's really what the role of a chief innovation officer is today.
Well, that's very interesting indeed. And how would you sum up how is MasterCard approaching innovation and what can other companies learn from that?
I think one of the great powers in Mastercard is that we believe in the positive power of innovation. We're excited about the future rather than fearful of it, right? But we understand that with that comes responsibility, so we try to lean in. We lean into the future because we want it to arrive in a way where societies and consumers and businesses benefit. We want to protect society from, I mean, many technologies, AI is an example, are dual use. They can be used by bad actors or they can be used by good actors. So we want the future to arrive in a very, very positive way with trust and safety and security. So we lean in. The next thing I think is that we really sit in a very privileged ecosystem. We connect almost 4 billion consumers, 150 merchants, million merchants. We do business in over 210 countries around the world. So we have and we take that responsibility really, really seriously. So we have a responsibility to work with them to lean into this future, to kind of help it arrive, to prepare them to participate and succeed and thrive in this future.
And I'd like to end with a very interesting one. I think a lot of people are wondering, if I was to ask you one big innovation or trend or technology that will change our lives in the near future, what do you think that would be?
For me, that would have to be agentic commerce. And by agentic commerce, I mean technology agents acting on our behalf, agents that understand our intent, they understand what we're trying to do, and then they go off and do tasks on our behalf, and then they come back to us with an answer. Maybe let me give you an example. Maybe one that's easier to kind of understand. When you were younger, you probably and you wanted to go on a family vacation. Your mum and your dad, you all went into the local travel agent, and to the travel agent, you said, "This is my budget, and here's where I want to go, and these are the types of things that I want to do when I'm traveling." And the travel agent took away all the pain and the research that was required to come back with the recommendations that would be most important to you. To some degree, that travel agent has, and all the other types of roles that look like that travel agent will be replaced by agents. Agents who understand what we're trying to do, who have access to the wealth of information that's digitally available out there today, who pull it together and bring back recommendations to us. In the first instance, we will probably give power to the agent to just do the search, but actually we'll say, yes, that's good, buy it. We will have a human in the middle. And then over time, I think what we'll start to see is that the agents will become fully autonomous. They'll start to both make the recommendations, but also make the purchase for us as well. And that's why it's so important, because these big, complicated innovations, yes, they arrive globally, but they also arrive locally. So it's so important for us as a global organization to make sure that we have representations on the ground to understand how this future arrives in each locality, because it won't arrive evenly. Some countries will go first. So for us in the UAE, we're really excited to be part of the UAE government's AI 2031 strategy, and to have opened here our first and global AI and cybercrime innovation center here in the Middle East.
Some very interesting things, a lot of technology to look forward to. Ken Moore, really appreciate you having the time with us today at Economy Middle East.
Thank you so much for having me.